So we all know what we're getting into when we watch a Fast and Furious movie. Law-defying physics, gravity-defying stunts, crazy action, and...
I got family.
However, the last two installments in this franchise that's been going on for like 20 years has been a little shaky. They lost some of the spicy ingredients that we really liked from Fast 5, which is personally my favorite Fast and Furious movie. But does Fast 10 double down on the zaniness that was introduced in F9, or does it bring it backwards and get back to basics? I think it's somewhere in between. That's what I'm going to talk about when I break down the good and the bad of Fast X. Let's start with the good. Over many missions against impossible odds, Don Toretto and his family have outsmarted and outdriven every foe in their path. Now they must confront the most lethal opponent they've ever faced. Fueled by revenge, a terrifying threat emerges from the shadows of the past to shatter Dom and destroy everything and everyone he loves. My two favorite Fast movies are Fast 5 and Furious 7. So I was really happy to see that this movie pulls story-wise from Fast 5. A lot of the events that happen in that film tie directly in why this film is happening in the first place. And the tone of Furious 7 is throughout, where I feel like that was the first movie where the film started getting a little crazy, a little more absurd. That was the one where Dwayne Johnson flexed and broke a cast. That's where people were like, whoa, okay, this is getting like superhero level territory where they feel like they have super strength. I was glad to see that it kind of went back to that, but still felt a little bit more cartoony than Furious 7, but not as much as F9. The movie honestly also borrows from the Avengers franchise, specifically Infinity War, which I know is surprising to say, and the John Wick franchise. The globe-trotting, they even use the Russo brothers like thing where they put up what country they're in at that moment, like almost the exact one. And one of the times that they used it was for comedic effect, and I thought it was really great the way they did that. And just the way the action is filmed and the hand-to-hand combat and the non-stop action, kind of like how John Wick 4 was. It's basically action set piece, and then you get a little bit of story here and there, but the action set piece is what you're here for. And I like that they were able to blend those things in there. It's not like saying it's on the level of an Infinity War, but there's some story surprises and twists, especially the ending that I did not see coming that pulls directly from that film. And a lot of stuff with the action felt a little bit closer to John Wick than it has the past Fast and Furious films. And I think that Vin Diesel has finally saw all the memes and jokes that we've had about this franchise, especially over the last two, because the movie has become super self-aware about what it does really well and what we like and what we joke about and what we laugh about and what we love about this franchise. Because I think they said
I got family
292 times at least. I think I've counted 292 times when they said that word in this film. There's even a character that breaks down how they corrupt law enforcement and bring them over to the Toretto cult, and how everybody kind of like starts out bad that joins the team, and how everything is like they're family. They just kept talking about it over and over and over, and it feels like they tripled down on it because they know that that's what we joke about in the real world. It makes the film feel a lot more fun because the movie is in on the joke now. We're in on the ride. It's not us laughing at it. We're kind of laughing with it. And similar to Infinity War, there's three different teams here of the same group of Dom's family, where they're separated into three different groups and they have to go on do three different things centered around this central villain from their past, someone they didn't know. And I think that worked really well because of Jason Momoa's performance as the villain here. This character Jason Momoa plays stems from Fast 5, from when they took that safe out of the wall in Fast 5 and did that heist. He was there. They show retroactively, and Jason Momoa does a fantastic job as this villain. Honestly, he's probably going to be the villain of the year. I couldn't believe how good he was, because I've always liked him, but I've always seen him very limited in what he can do acting wise. But here, he felt like the Joker. He felt like the comic book Joker brought to life the face-off against Dom Toretto's Batman. And he was playful, he was psychopathic, he was menacing, he was just always a step ahead of everything. And Jason Momoa was having all the fun in the world. It felt like they gave him the script and told him, do whatever you want, just have as much fun as you can on screen and enjoy your time. And that he took full advantage of that. That's exactly what he did. I think that this movie would not work without his performance. He really steps up, and he understands what kind of movie he is in. The cartoonish nature that the Fast and Furious franchise has started leaning to, he just leaned totally into it, and it was a blast to watch. And the regular cast of characters here are no slowpokes themselves. You know, Vin Diesel, you know what you're getting with his character, with Dom. He is the heart and soul of the franchise. His indomitable force, how it feels like he can never get hurt, him feeling like he has super strength, and everything he does, and his emotional speeches, and his action sequence in driving, all that is here. Everything he's done in the past movies is here. Not improved, not less, just it's Vin Diesel. And I think Letty, played by Michelle Rodriguez, I'm really a big fan of her after Dungeons and Dragons. And I think she did a great job here, especially in the action sequences. She was such a badass. And their son, who is they teased in the trailers a little bit, was so adorable. And I really, really enjoyed the actor and how he played the character. It made me really gravitate and care about him throughout the film. Tyrese, Ludacris, Sung Kang, and Natalie were all kind of sidelined here. They were really fun in the moments that we got, but they weren't in the movie as much as you would think they were, especially how they were in the past films. Charlize Theron, still a great femme fatale. She did a great job with the little bit of scenes that she also had. And I think that John Cena and Jason Statham were also really great in the small parts that they had in the film as well. All these characters will come back in the film and they stand out when they're on screen, but they're just not used as much because there's so much new stuff being added in. And speaking of the new characters, Alan Richardson, he plays the new guy that's heading the agency, and he fits right in. He has the physical presence, the charm, and the charisma to fit right into the Fast franchise, and he does a really great job with his character. I think Brie Larson, she starts off a little wonky, but as the movie progressed, I really started liking the character, especially who she's related to, because, everybody has to be related to somebody because this is all about family. And Daniela Melchior, she was in the Suicide Squad as Ratcatcher. She was recently in Guardians of the Galaxy as the lady with the red makeup. I think she did a great job as well. She's another character related to another character from the past, and she did a good job of being very likable, and I could see her being a leading lady maybe in the future movies that's coming up. And the action here is really, really fun. It's not as cartoony and crazy. They don't go to space like how they did in Fast 9 and some of the submarine stuff in number 8, but it is still a bit cartoony, but just enough where it doesn't feel too absurd. It's still absurd, but it's not too absurd where it's like, okay, this is too ridiculous. My mind can't turn off this much. But the sequence they tease in Rome with the bomb, absolutely fantastic. The people in my theater wanted to clap and get up for that scene because it was so much fun. There's multiple sequences here that are just thrilling, exciting, and just has that absurd nature of something they do with the car that doesn't make any sense, but you get it, the tone of Fast and Furious. This is a Saturday morning cartoon, and I just had a blast with that. Now let's get into the bad. So I'm not going to criticize the franchise for the things that people criticize for all the time in terms of the acting or the absurdity of the action or the plot not being so thick or anything like that. If you're watching this movie, you know what you're getting into. If you don't like the past ones, you're not going to like this one. But I will say that Vin Diesel, his line delivery and what he was actually saying was a bunch of gobbledygook. I was just like, what is going on? It looked like he picked up a poet book and just started taking out random lines from poetry and was saying them. There was a lot of times where I would look over to people and they were like, what is he even talking about right now? There was so many scenes where he was trying to have heartfelt conversations with people, and he was just speaking like a robot, honestly, not like a human. He felt like he was speaking like a robot, like he wasn't human. He was just doing life affirmation quotes, just one after another. And it was like a particular scene where it went on for a really long time, and it just was really noticeable, where I looked over at my friend that I was watching the movie with, and I was like, what is he talking about right now? None of this makes sense. It was just really funny, and those are the moments that made me laugh at the movie, because I was like, y'all trying to be deep here, like y'all trying to give him like an Oscar worthy performance, but this is not it. Also, there's a twist in the movie. I'm not going to even hint to what it is because I don't want to spoil it, but it's not set up too well throughout the movie. And I hopefully, since this is going to be a 3-parter now, that they explain it in the next one, but it just wasn't hinted at all. And it just came abrupt. Like after I watched the movie, I was talking to my friend about it, and I was like, why would this thing happen? Why did they make this choice? So that was also something that I was like, when you get towards the end of the movie, you're going to start thinking about that because the plot is pretty simple so far. It's fun, but then they do that and you're like, wait, hold up. What? Also, I think the cast might be getting too big. While I said that Tyrese, guy who plays Han, Natalie Emmanuel, and a couple of other characters, Ludacris, obviously, are there and they're fun, and Jason Statham and John Cena, but there's so many other characters and so many new characters being added in that they literally felt like they had nothing to do. Their scenes weren't as impactful or as fun because they didn't have much. They were sidelined. And I don't know, hopefully they can kind of trim things down or find ways to keep the group together because they separated them like in Infinity War, and they felt like they could have been cut out the movie and this movie could have been a bit shorter, even though I really, really enjoyed and had fun with some of the scenes that they were in. So hopefully in future installments, they can get those guys back into the action and having the fun. Because in the beginning of the movie they were, and then as the movie progressed, we saw less and less of them. Let me get into my verdict. So overall, I had a blast with this film. It's not phenomenal filmmaking. There's some choppy filmmaking, especially in the beginning of the film. But I don't expect fantastic filmmaking in the Fast and Furious franchise. But it was just really fun, absurd action. I was laughing at the movie because of some of the choices it made, but I was also laughing with it because it becomes so self-aware. But the main selling point to me, other than the absurd action, is Jason Momoa's performance as the villain. He is worth the price of admission because he's so fun, so funny, so charismatic, and he made this movie work where it might have fallen flat if he wasn't as great as he was. So with that said, I'm going to give Fast 10, whatever they want to call it, the family, a C+. Did you like it? Did you hate it? What would you rate Fast X if you saw it already? And if you have not, did my review push you towards seeing it? Well, most likely if you're a Fast and Furious fan, you're going to go check this out. If you're not, you're definitely not going to check it out. But let me know all those thoughts down below in the comments. And are you excited for this Fast X trilogy that they're going to be doing? Because we're going to get part 2 in 2025. Let me know. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you can be notified of my reviews, reactions, live discussions, and much, much more. And you can catch more of my content right now.